You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Pinky Webb. A Senate panel will conduct a hearing this Friday to look into the proposal to temporarily accommodate Afghan nationals in the country. Senate Foreign Relations Committee Chairperson Amy Marcos claimed the United States had made a request for the Philippine government to allow the admission and temporary housing of the Afghans. In filing the resolution, the lawmaker expressed concern that this could expose the Philippines to substantial risk. Let's go straight to the source of the story. We have Philippine Ambassador to the United States, Babe Romualdez. Ambassador Babe, always good to have you. Thank you for your time.
Well, thank you very much for inviting me, Pinky. As always, it's nice to see you.
Ambassador, tell us the whole story here. What is the U.S. request to the Philippines?
Well, exactly that's what it is. It is a request. They actually transmitted that request to us here in the embassy in Washington, D.C. Last October. And obviously, we had to immediately send that request to our department, the Department of Foreign Affairs, of which they went through the system. And in November, when Vice President Kamala Harris went to the Philippines, I was in that meeting, and the Vice President actually asked the President if he had received their request. And I think the President said yes, and I think something to the effect that the President said that he would look into it. And so there was, the United States felt that that was a positive development, and they were hoping that the Philippines would indeed accept their request for the processing of Afghan citizens in Afghanistan that work with the United States government. That is the exact, and to be processed in the Philippines before their final destination, which is the United States.
So it's almost like we're a midpoint area for them to be housed before they are to transfer to the United States.
And actually, I think what it is really clearly, the United States will cover all the costs of bringing to an area which they will set up, and they will pay for everything, all the costs that go with it, including, of course, the food and lodging and whatever it is that the Afghan citizens that will be coming in batches for processing. And the reason why also the Philippines is the logical place is, number one, we're obviously an ally of the United States. Number two is that they have a fairly big embassy in the Philippines. I think they have over 1,000 or about 1,000 people working in the Philippine and the U.S. embassy in Manila, and they have enough people to be able to process many of these, or if not all of them. They may be sending in some other personnel from Washington to help in processing this, but it'll be, from what I'm told, it'll be a quick or a fast processing, which is very important for them before they bring them to the United States.
That's actually the question, I believe, of Senator Sherwin Gatchalian. How is the processing of these Afghan nationals if they arrive in the country, and who does the processing?
Well, the processing obviously is going to be done by U.S. embassy personnel or the U.S. State Department. They are the ones that issue the visa or the special immigration visa that they have for the Afghan citizens, whose lives are actually in danger. That is one of the main reasons why they would like to bring them out as soon as possible. And so it's really, they will be the one who will be doing all of this. We're really just simply going to provide the area which will be identified by both the Philippines and the Philippine and the U.S. government as the area where they can process these Afghan citizens.
Yeah, but that still begs the question to me, if it almost seems like we're a halfway place for them.
Oh, whatever you want to call it, it can be halfway. The point of the matter is, I think, which is clear, is that obviously anyone who goes into the United States requires a visa, and this visa that they will be issuing to the Afghan citizens is the special immigration visa. And the reason why it is different from any kind of visa, and is because they actually work for the United States government in Afghanistan. And their families, of course, are also part of that whole number that I mentioned earlier.
Yeah, but
So
but Ambassador, because they're coming to, they will possibly enter the Philippines. Would you know, or would you be able to tell us what kind of processing the Philippine government will have to do prior to even the processing of the United States for them to have this special immigration visa? Because they will be housed here for a while.
yes, they will be housed in the Philippines. I think the role that we will play is perhaps we will be provided with the people that will be coming into our country. And I think that that's one of the discussion points of the Department of Foreign Affairs. I don't know where they are, obviously, because I'm not part of that whole group that studied this. And this has been under study for quite some time. As I told you, this request came into us in October of last year. That's fairly well. We're already June, and so that's more than 6 months. We're talking about 8 or 9 months since they made that request, and that's the reason why it went through this whole processes. And in fact, it went through our national security cluster, or the people that are in charge of the security. They discussed it thoroughly. But there was absolutely no intention whatsoever that this was going to be a sudden thing that we were just going to announce that we were doing it. And in the Philippines, when there are more than 3 people who know about something, it's not a secret. This is close to 100 people know about this request. Again, let me just emphasize, it is a request, and not a demand. Some people are trying to mislead the people.
And there's some talk about this being some sort of a secret.
Well, as I said, in the Philippines, there's no such thing as a secret. And in this particular case, if more than 3 people, I can assure you that it is not a secret.
Okay.
The secret is only when people talk about it. And we are not going to say the usual, sa atin lang ito.
Sa atin dalawa lang to, ha? Okay.
And marami lang sinabihan na gano'n.
Tapos sasabihin dun sa isa, sa atin dalawa lang to. So anyway, Ambassador, I want to go back to this. So October, the request was made to the embassy, forwarded to the DFA. The Vice President of the United States in the Philippines last November asked the President about this. The President said he got the message. What is the status now? Is this a go? Has there been a go signal given by the President regarding this request? Or are... Go ahead, sir.
Not at all. That's the reason why, and that's why I'm extremely pleased that Senator Amy has called for an inquiry, precisely to bring out all the concerns that we have. That's the reason why it's taken this long. And the President is not going to make a decision on this by simply receiving a request. He wanted to thoroughly see what are the implications and what is it that the role that the Philippines will be playing. And I think that he's doing it very cautiously, and rightly so. And I think Senator Amy is doing exactly what she's supposed to do. As the chairman of the Senate Foreign Relations Committee, she'd like to know exactly what this kind of request from the United States is all about. So everything is very transparent, and that's what the democracy is. You can see we may be all related, but we're doing our jobs. I'm here in Washington, D.C., sending the request as the ambassador to the United States. The President received the request, and now Senator Amy is doing her job by making sure that this is something that will not affect our national security and many other concerns that she may have in mind.
So again, still no go signal from the President regarding this request. That's clear for now. Ambassador, we need to take a short break.
The go signal,
sorry, go ahead, sir.
The go signal. Yeah, the go signal will only come when he has received all the pros, and he will be given the recommendation whether it is a rightful thing to do. In my view, my personal view is that it's the morally right thing to do. It's a humanitarian act of gesture that we have, and we've had this type of tradition for many years, since the 1920s. The White Russians, the Israelis. The Jewish people that were allowed to come in here by President Manuel Quezon, the father of the president during the Vietnam War, the Vietnamese boat people. And I'll tell you later after you get your break. For me, what I've experienced, why there is a lot of goodwill that this does for the country.
We'll find
So
out
we'll do it after your.
after the
Thank
break.
you.
Please stay tuned. You're watching The Source on CNN Philippines. I'm Pinky Webb. Our source today, Philippine Ambassador to the United States, Babe Romualdez. Ambassador, you were talking about why this is important. It's a humanitarian issue, an act of goodwill. You wanted to say something after that.
Yes, and I personally experienced this, and I'll tell you why. Ever since I've been the ambassador here in Washington, D.C., and even before that, actually, the Israeli ambassador in the Philippines and now here in Washington, D.C., they make it a point to get to know me, and the American Jewish community here always invites us to many of their events. And the reason for this is because up to this day, they will never forget what President Manuel L. Quezon did in the 1940s when the Jewish,
Right.
during World War II, where we opened our doors
Right.
to over 1,000 Jewish people. That act of gesture up to this day gives us a very good relationship with Israel. In fact, they always ask me, is there anything we can do? As you know, Israel is a very strong ally of the United States, and they have a lot of, well, let's put it this way, they have a lot of pull in the U.S. Congress, and they've asked if there's anything we can do for you, please let us know. Now, that's one. And the other one is, at one time I was in California to visit our Filipino community there, but there was a few, I think 3 of them, Vietnamese people who came up to me and said, and they said that we were one of those that were given
Allowed
a chance
to enter.
to move here to the United States, but before that we were in, I think, I'm not sure what, I know we had a Vietnamese refugee camp in Morong, Bataan, and we had another one in Palawan, but they remember this, and they said
Okay.
they've always been very grateful to the Philippines for accepting them, and at that time they were boat people, which President Marcos Sr. Did at that time in the 70s.
Ambassador, how
That's why very, very, what do you call it? And they're not even refugees. As I said, it's just an act of kindness to have them come here and leave Afghanistan as quickly as possible, have them processed here where they feel safe, and then they move on. And that's good for us. And I feel that it's the morally right thing to do.
So they are not refugees. Actually, I wanted to ask you exactly how we should call them. They're individuals. They're Afghan nationals. Okay. Do you? Sorry. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, Afghan nationals that worked for the U.S. government.
Understand.
That is it.
Ambassador, how many are they that if this request is granted, how many can we expect to come to the Philippines in total, even if they come in batches?
Well, right now, at least this is the information that we so far have received, is that there are about 50,000, which includes the families of these Afghan citizens who work with the United States government. Now, we don't know. As I said, there are other countries that are also doing the same. I mean, there are other countries that the United States is working with for the processing of this special immigrant visa. So I can't tell you the number that will be coming through the processing center if we do agree to this request. But it can be anywhere between probably, I would say, roughly 1,000 per shot, meaning to say they probably will come, be processed, and then we'll keep, until they been able to process all of these Afghan citizens to proceed to the United States.
Would you be able to tell us which other countries the United States made this similar request?
I don't have the official, but I do. I heard about Qatar was one country that actually accepted Afghan refugees to be processed in their country.
So I understand that you said it's good that there will be a Senate hearing on this coming Friday. That's tomorrow, and I'm certain you will be in attendance. I just wanted to ask. I know that you were saying that, you were doing your job and the rest doing their job as well. Was there any call made by the senator to you to get more clarification on this, Senator Amy Marcos?
No, actually, I just received. It obviously came out in newspapers, and obviously we monitor any kind of information or any news about what we're doing here in Washington, D.C. And as I said, my reaction was I was very pleased
Yeah.
that this was brought to her attention because she's the chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee. But I'm not sure if I'm being invited, but I just found out from my staff that I could possibly be invited, and I'll be more than willing to attend it
I see.
if the senator invites me.
We'll see. We'll see what happens tomorrow. Philippine Ambassador to the United States, Babe Romualdez, as usual. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Pinky. We'll see you again.
Thank you for joining us here on The Source. I'm Pinky Webb. You're watching CNN Philippines.